shit! It's here! Let's do this thing! I know my cords are empty! Just fucking run! Hold on, guys! Before we rob this train, let me eat 30 cans of kidney beans! I think I brushed my horse more times than people I killed. What the fuck? I should really edit this out. There's realism in a game, and then there's obsession with realism in your game. And while I know that's not a wholly original thought to Red Dead Redemption 2, that doesn't make it any less applicable. Rockstar, like a Michael Myers to Laurie Strode, is utterly obsessed with realism, leading to it sucking a bit of the fun out of a truly great game. Red Dead Redemption 2's story focuses on Arthur Morgan and his life in the Vanderlyn gang, a quiet man who sounds like he's either drunk all the time or just from southern Louisiana. His character is pretty much up to the player in how they want Arthur to evolve in the story. The game also introduces a lot of RPG-like choices, choosing to basically help or not help someone, as well as bringing back the honor system. Sadly, the system doesn't really matter in the long term, except for one choice at the end. Besides that, there are no long-term effects on the game itself. Though if you do help people in some chance encounters traveling along the way, they could do things like letting you buy a new gun on their tab and having some convos in camp, where Arthur will talk about either he's helping a lot of people or hurting a lot of people. More and more. Little things like that do help, but I do hope they expand on these RPG elements expanded here. Old characters you remember from the first game are back, basically John, his family, and everyone he hunted down in Red Dead Redemption 1. But with them come new characters, Hosea, essentially a co-founder of the gang along with Dutch, Charles Smith being among my favorites, and of course...
Suddenly, life has a new meaning to me.
Give it to me!
There's beauty up above, and things we never take notice of. You wake up and...
I am so sorry you had to see that, but Sadie Adler is now my new number 2 favorite character in the entire series. It's John, then Sadie, then Arthur, because she is by far stealing the show from Arthur Morgan in this game, bar none. Her journey in the story is built up so well, and I was so surprised because I assumed she would just be someone kind of forgotten as the game went on, and I hope she makes another appearance in more Red Dead games in the future. From simply singing a song with the gang or listening in on some backstory exposition from everyone and then being told to fuck off for spying, hell, even just using the greet or antagonize option in camp can give short and sweet conversations, giving insight into what they think about current events that are going on in the camp. But sometimes you could just straight up miss these moments as they're happening at the same time as others, or you don't even realize it's happening. And the only way to watch all of these is if you replay the entire story. You can't just watch them like you would in some gallery in-game, or you have to go on YouTube. And it's sad because these cutscenes have so much detail and plot thrown into them that everyone needs to watch them. But then you have characters like Agents Ross and Milton, who serve as the game's overall antagonists, get such a minor role in this story and so little screen time because of what Agent Ross does in the very first game to John Marston. It feels like these guys should have played a much bigger role in the story and have been much more prominent. And I think it's this mass of characters Rockstar tries to introduce to the player very quickly, and it's in favor of characters like Karen, Tilly, a lot of characters that should have just been cut out of the game entirely. But the game's story might have dragged on a bit too long, in my opinion. You could easily drop 70 hours into this game with all of its side missions and main story missions. But at one point, the game just felt like it dragged on at some point, felt artificially inflated, and just had missions in there that could have easily been cut, and once again I come back to, I think they just wanted to include all of these characters into the story, where some of these missions, if they had been cut, would have made for a more well-paced story. But beyond those minor criticisms I brought up, a very well-written, though a bit long-winded story that is still light years ahead of its competition. The majority of Red Dead Redemption 2's gameplay consists of shooting, then more shooting. Sorry, not to sound ungrateful, but if you're making a realistic Western, you have to try to differentiate your gameplay more so from GTA than it is now. It's not bad, it's just more so stock standard. Adding on to that, the gun selection is barely expanded upon. The lock-on mechanic, which can be turned off, just makes the game too easy, and turning it off does make you pay attention a bit more. And the guns are realistic, but in a bad way for me. Yes, every animation and every gun in the game looks nice and beautiful. A lot of work was put into this, and I appreciate it. But it takes away a lot of the fun when I'm waiting on Arthur to slowly reload the gun while I'm getting shot in a huge firefight, where taking out a lot of enemies quickly is required. Now, does that make the gameplay bad? No! No! No, the gameplay is still good. They had a bigger emphasis on stealth, with stealth kills being up close and personal with your knives, or even being able to get poison-tipped tomahawks and throwing knives, and your bow being able to take out enemies silently from range, giving you a different way to approach situations on your own. Now, they do handhold you more than I would have liked when on story missions with stealth sections, and when gunfights get bigger and grander with their set pieces, it can get by on its visual flair and how big the battles are. Now, you can also do a number of side activities, poker, blackjack, house and stagecoach robberies, and most exciting, chores. Yeah, you can do this and other actions to gain honor, but I only ever rarely did them, and was fine, because you can also donate to the camp's funds to upgrade the camp, giving you access to more food, medicinal, and ammo items to pick up before you head out on another mission. And now to talk about the cores. Yeah, you can definitely tell they wanted to add in some survival aspects to the game, to help the fact that you can't do certain things like you would in GTA. That way they can add more to the formula here. They want Red Dead Redemption to be different by making it more realistic. Now, Arthur doesn't necessarily have to eat and drink every day. It's not like he's just going to die out of nowhere, but it's highly suggested to refill your cores with food and drink for stamina and drink coffee for your deadeye, but it's not always at camp, so you're also carrying a metric shit ton of things to fill them back up, and then you have to worry about your horses feeding and brushing religiously to build the bond level with them that makes their stamina bank bigger. It's just like your nagging mother all the time in this game. Your cores are empty, don't forget about your fucking cores! Not to mention, Deadeye is heavily nerfed this time around. They wanted to ensure you only used it at the most desperate of times when you were about to die, say. But instead I just found myself going for headshots without it, and not even bothering to fill the core that much. They more so instead discourage the use of Deadeye when they should be encouraging it because of realism. And then a wanted system that just sucks the fun out of every moment in the game. Some asshole will roll out in front of you with his buggy or horse, and you'll run into him, hilariously by the way, and then you are the one everyone is trying to hunt down. The police are trying to murder you, while the guy who caused the accident actually tries to fucking murder you when it should be the other way around. The realism in this game needs to be turned down just a few notches. Now on a more fun note, go ahead and search Red Dead Redemption 2 horse crashes on YouTube. I swear to you, there will be nothing funnier than seeing Arthur eating total shit and seeing poor Disco the Second go right down to the ground with him. Just don't ask about the original Disco. We don't talk about that. Remember my child, you never talk. Now, beyond the shooting gameplay, they add a really good brawling system that really lends itself to being very cinematic, with enemies tackling you to the ground and having to fight them off, you being able to block and counter. Though I never really got the timing down to pull these off a whole lot, I still loved watching every brawl I got into, and they were seriously fun. If there's one thing Rockstar has mastered over the years and how many games they've made, it's definitely hand-to-hand fighting that they've gotten really good at. Beyond the gameplay, the customization when it comes to clothes is a bit lacking in my opinion, though at the beginning they do give you a great selection with a lot of color options. But going 70 hours into this game, balls deep if you will, into what this game has to offer, they maybe add 2 or 3 new pairs of boots and 2 or 3 new hats into the selection. Now you can craft some outfits from animal skins when you take them to a trapper, but they're a bit... yeah, they're a bit stupid looking in my opinion. Now, if you like these outfits and you want to wear them, that's perfectly fine with me. You'll love the selection in the game. But as I go on, again, balls deep into what this game has to offer, a new shirt or 2 would have been nice now and again. Especially when you expect me to plop my fat ass down for 70 hours while I continue to develop blood clots in my legs, and then my mom comes in and she's all like, "Baby, you killing yourself from all the Hot Pockets you eat." And I'm all like, "Shh." I may have gone off on a tangent. What was I talking about? Oh, more customization options would, in clothing, would be good. Let's just keep going. My main gripe is that the game, in my opinion, doesn't reach the amount of fun it should. This insistence on adding realism is fine if done in moderation. The conversations in camp? Keep them. Slowing down combat for realism? Don't. Hair growth in game? Keep it. Horseball shrinkage? No. Fine, it's cool to market that your horse's balls shrink in cold weather, but instead of coding that, maybe add more clothing. Maybe redo your gunplay to be a little less realistic and a bit more fun. I understand this is how you were going to differentiate from the Grand Theft Auto series. It's big and over the top, and Red Dead is serious and immersive. Fine, but you gotta make fun your top priority, not horse balls. From an amazingly written story that drags on a bit too long, from gameplay that's pretty stock standard from what we've seen from Rockstar, but lets realism hinder it more than it should. I still feel this game will be up there with the better titles in the gaming industry, but does take a few missteps. I give Red Dead Redemption 2 a 9 out of 10. If you're looking for a pretty realistic Western game with an amazing story and stunning visuals to support it, then this game is for you. I've been TenWise. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed.
I can't quite remember just what guided me this way.